Some troops in Russia's military districts adjacent to Ukraine have started returning to their bases after completing drills, a move that could de-escalate frictions between Moscow and the West. Key points. The UK's Foreign Secretary says Moscow must conduct a full-scale removal of troops to prove it will not attack. The UK's Foreign Secretary says Moscow must conduct a full-scale removal of troops to prove it will not attack. Russia has amassed over 100,000 troops near Ukraine's borders, including a contingent in Belarus. Russia has amassed over 100,000 troops near Ukraine's borders, including a contingent in Belarus. New satellite images show more Russian troops and attack helicopters arriving. Russia's Interfax news agency cited the defense ministry as saying that while large-scale drills across the country continued, some units of the southern and western military districts had completed their exercises and started returning to base. The reported movements run counter to warnings from the United States and Britain that Russia may be poised to invade Ukraine at any time. British Foreign Secretary Liz Truss said London would need to see a full-scale removal of Russian troops from the border with Ukraine to believe that Moscow had no plans for an invasion. Asked about the Interfax report, Ms. Truss told LBC Radio she had not seen it and would need to see more details, but added, "The Russians have claimed that they have no plans for an invasion, but we will need to see a full-scale removal of troops to show that is true." Britain's Foreign Secretary says she would like to see a full-scale removal of troops from the area. AP, Russian Defense Ministry Press Service. Ukraine's Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba said Kiev would only believe that Russia was moving to de-escalate the situation if Ukraine itself saw that Russian troops were being pulled back. "If we see a withdrawal, we will believe in a de-escalation," Interfax Ukraine quoted him as saying. Video footage provided by the Defense Ministry and published by the RIA news agency showed some tanks and other armored vehicles being loaded onto railway flat cars. The ministry said it would use trucks to move some hardware, while some troops would march to bases on their own. Commercial satellite images taken on Sunday and Monday showed a flurry of Russian military activity at several locations near Ukraine, the private U.S. company that released the pictures said. US-based Maxar Technologies pointed to the arrival of several large deployments of troops and attack helicopters, as well as new deployments of ground attack aircraft and fighter bomber jets to forward locations. A satellite image shows military equipment loaded on flat cars passing through a rail yard in Yelnya, Russia. Reuters, 2022. Maxar Technologies. Russia's defense minister said a day earlier that some military exercises were still ongoing, while others had ended and others were wrapping up. A joint exercise between Russia and Belarus is due to end on Sunday. Russian markets reacted positively to the news, and the ruble, which has been under pressure due to fears of fresh Western sanctions in the event of a war, gained 1.5% shortly after the Defense Ministry announcement. Move to recognize breakaway regions. Russia's lower house of parliament voted on Tuesday to ask President Vladimir Putin to recognize 2 Russian-backed breakaway regions in eastern Ukraine as independent. Recognition of the self-declared Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics could kill off the Minsk peace process in East Ukraine, where a conflict between government forces and Moscow-backed separatists has killed 15,000 people. Kiev is not observing the Minsk agreements, State Duma Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin wrote on social media. "Our citizens and compatriots who live in Donbass need our help and support." Latvian Foreign Affairs Minister Edgars Rinkēvičs described the move on Twitter as deplorable. Loading. Germany presses Russia for dialogue. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has said he will hammer home the message from Western governments that they are open to dialogue about Russia's security concerns, but will impose sanctions if Moscow launches an attack on Ukraine. The Chancellor, who took office in December, traveled to Kiev on Monday, where he said Germany and its allies were ready for far-reaching and effective coordinated sanctions. Olaf Scholz says Germany could impose sanctions on Russia if it invades Ukraine. Reuters, Maxim Shemetov, Opul. German sanctions could hit Moscow hard, but its position as Russia's #1 trade partner in Europe and biggest consumer of Russian natural gas might also limit Berlin's room for maneuver. Russia has built up more than 100,000 troops near Ukraine and carried out large-scale exercises. Russia denies planning to invade, but says it needs the West to take its security worries about NATO seriously. "We will not invade Ukraine unless we are provoked to do that," RIA news agency cited Russia's envoy to the European Union, Vladimir Chizhov, as saying, "If the Ukrainians launch an attack against Russia, you shouldn't be surprised if we counterattack. Or, if they start blatantly killing Russian citizens anywhere, Donbass or wherever." The United States has warned Moscow may stage a false flag operation to trigger a war. Moscow has accused the West of hysteria. Space to play or pause, M to mute, left and right arrows to seek, up and down arrows for volume. Watch duration, 3 minutes 5 seconds 3 minutes and 5 seconds Ukraine campaign, by the numbers. Reuters.